A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our EAE seminar, Get Ready with TP. I'm Farah, a Year 3 student in Early Childhood Development and Education.
And I'm Georgina, a second-year student in the Diploma of Psychology Studies, and we will be your MCs for today. Did you know that 2 to 3 years ago, Farah and I were actually in your position where we were confused on what to do, but we were excited to embark on our EAE journey?
That's right, so if you have any questions that you would like to ask us, please feel free to approach us at the end of the event, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Before we begin today's event, may we kindly request that you switch all electronic devices to the silent mode, please. And just for everyone's knowledge, you are seated according to your choice of school tours later today. So please remain in your seats at the end of the seminar. Our ushers will be happy to lead you out of the TCC according to your chosen ACAD school. We would also like to take this opportunity to draw your attention to the locations of emergency exits in the convention center. The exits at this level, level 3, are indicated in blue. They are located on both sides and behind the hall on this floor. The exits at the upper deck, level 4, are indicated in green. In an evacuation, please follow the arrows shown on the screen towards the exits. Our ushers will help direct you to the nearest exit. Please evacuate in an orderly manner and do not use the lifts.
Once you are out of the building, please follow the usher's instructions and walk briskly towards the assembly area at the field next to the swimming pool, as indicated in the red circle on the screen. Please do not deviate from this route, as there may be a need to account for you. Additionally, please do not drive out of the premises, as you may hinder emergency vehicles that will be arriving. Do note that there are no planned evacuation drills today. If there is a need to evacuate, it is for real.
So, to kick things off for today's seminar, we have our Deputy Principal, Miss Anita Kwan, who will be sharing more about how you can create your best tomorrow with TP. Miss Kwan, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Farah and Georgina. I think young people, looking at that, maybe some of you might be inspired to come and join us because you're so confident, right? Fantastic, yeah? Anyway, good morning. Welcome to Temasek Poly. We call ourselves TP for short. And I must say it's great to see so many here today. Thank you for making TP your institution of choice to join us on this very cool Saturday morning. I was speaking to some of you outside, and I can imagine how daunting it can be, right? 5 polytechnics, 169 diploma programs, 25 common entry programs. Wow, you're going to say, Ping San, how to make decision. And that is why we're here, and hopefully we will make it as succinct and clear as possible for you in this short intro. And do remember, you can also scan the QR code and put in questions as and when, something comes into mind to put it in. While it's very good that we have many pathways to success, we can imagine this whole daunting atmosphere. Just a show of hands, how many in this room came through the Polytechnic route? Really? Nobody? Oh, I see one at the back. Okay. Maybe too early in the morning. How many of you came through the TP route? Thank you. Welcome home. Maybe give you bonus points. Okay, just to have a sense round. And also, a very good morning to our friends who are live streaming in. Okay, so let's start with this. Okay, why are we here today? And I hope all of us are aligned. Yeah, is EAE the way to go for me? My child. Is TP the place that is suitable for my child? So we'll try and address some of this by giving you a snapshot about our facilities, our learning adventures, and also our collaboration with industry partners. First up, I'd like to also give an indication of what we believe in as a philosophy. EAE, from what we have seen, in TP certainly, students who come in via the EAE route tend to do very well. And why? because these are the people who have the skills, the aspiration, the desire. First of all, they fight to come in. And then after that, they make sure, because they're so passionate about what they do, they tend to do very well. Numbers-wise, if I look at our graduation that has just finished this year, at the Polytechnic level, we give out Polytechnic level awards, and we gave out 11 this year. Out of the 11, 4 of them came from the EAE route. So that's an indication of, wow, okay, it does work for many of the EAE students. So that's what you're here for, to find out a little bit of then, what is TP. So I'm going to paint a big picture of what TP is, and then my colleague who is going to give the details, the deep dive down into how you should be doing it. Then we've got a parent and a child, and this one, totally unscripted. I have no idea what they're going to say, so it's as authentic as it gets. And then after that, we'll have the Q&A session. So that's going to be the format for today. Now, after that, of course, you have the school tours. Okay, so I talked about, so many diploma courses, right? 159 altogether. So in TP, this is what we have, and we'll be talking about this as you go on to the school tours. 36 diploma courses. We organize ourselves into 6 different schools that you can see there. In terms of EAE admission, of all the students who come in to the Polytechnic, to TP, slightly more than a quarter come in through the EAE route. And because we believe in the philosophy that if you do have the skills and passion, you do really deserve a place in the Polytechnic. That's why we are rather generous, I would say, in terms of admitting students through this route. Right? So that's a good, slightly more than a quarter. Common entry programs were introduced relatively recently, not just by TP, but by all the polytechnics, in recognition that some students or some young people may not quite know what they want. Generally, they know what they want. Some are very, very certain. I want to do, a design program, let's say digital film and TV. I want to go into the media industry, and I want to go into TP Design School. Very clear. And maybe some of you are here because your child has told you so, and say, better double confirm, okay? Which is great. There are some who, something like that, they want to find out, but that's good as well, because broad first, and then as they come into the common entry program, they delve deeper into each of the areas, then there's more certainty that exactly this is that particular area that I want to go into. And Chunling is going to go a little bit deeper into this later. Okay. Regardless of the course you sign up for, there is a certain expectation that we want of everyone who walks through our doors. Okay? And this is what we call the Temasek student profile. Why? This is not just a TP or Singapore phenomenon, worldwide. If you look at the trajectory of institutions of higher learning, no longer are we looking at top-down domain technical skills and that's it. Listen to your professor, listen to your lectures, and go out and you're ready for work. We have begun to acknowledge that it's not just the academic knowledge, but the other skills are important, which is why we talk about domain and life skills, which is also why, if you look at the profile that we believe in, it's really the 3 baskets: the learner, the creator, and the leader. We've all heard about skills future and lifelong learning. And those of us who are, adults, gone out, being in the workforce, we are also looking at our own learning. So I believe it starts here. It's not just imparting the skills, but imparting the skills of how to continue learning even beyond your 3-year program here. So I think it's quite self-explanatory, who does not believe in being self-directed and independent and resilient, right? So that's the lifelong learner part. The second part is about creating. We talk about how complex the world has become. Just read any news report, any day. Lots of things happening, you know. So in terms of making sure that our young people are equipped to help those of us whom they will be looking after, we need to be creating solutions. So even creating tomorrow as a direction we take as TP. You know, it's a very future-oriented world. I mean, Gen AI, for example, it's hit all of us. You know, when it first happened, we were on top of things and we said, look, we're not going to run away from this. We started a playbook. We had discussions with our students how to use it properly. And we're still experimenting in that space. The third part, to me, is the most important. You can have learning ability, creating ability. You do not have the right character and the values. You know, what use are we of society? In fact, this was a conversation I had with, in a recent conference with Daniel Susskind. Some of you may be familiar with his books. He's an economist, quite well known in this area, talking about future of work. And he totally agrees. Ethics, values, that's the next big thing that we need to be looking at. So we're quite assured that indeed this is what we are doing in the right direction. Education philosophy, we try and remember it by way of saying that this is our giant philosophy, and we'll be going through each of these. I'll be sharing some examples. Yeah, global, the world, as I say, getting complex. It's no longer Singapore and Singapore alone. We have to look ahead. What does it mean to be looking ahead? Many trips that we mount abroad, you know, working with industry. Applied learning, of course, is a hallmark of any polytechnic education, and we continue to hold that very dear here. You know, whatever we do is practice-based. It has to be applied, not just theory, but the doing of it. The culture of care is something that is TP's DNA from day one. Okay, you talk to any staff, they will tell you if there's a single word to express TP, it will be this care. Care for what we do, care for the people we work with, and care for the community. Yeah, and I talked about technology. We do invest quite a lot to be on the cutting edge, not for the sake of being in technology, but how do we help our students learn better? Okay? Because ultimately, we want you to succeed. And with digitalization happening with technology, we can't escape it. So all this guides us in terms of our pedagogy. So like any poly or university approach, we will have the core subjects. And then we want to go deep. Typically in the third year, we go into the diploma electives. The middle circle, which is TP Fundamentals, and we call it TP Fun for short. Some students will jokingly say, fun no very fun, one must do, okay? And we were just having a conversation as well with some people outside, you know, about, yeah, actually, a lot of students, there's a pairing request. Do I cancel it? Does it appear? Oh, sorry, it's my screen. Okay, back to this. Yeah, many students do not realize the importance of it until after they graduate and come back and say, oh, actually, correct, all this career planning, how I go in for my interviews and snag that job, you know, how I think on my feet, and when my boss asks me a certain thing, I know how to give the answer, deep answers, not just surface answer. So all these things are actually infused into our curriculum. Every student has to do a certain basket, right? You'll notice that under global citizenry, sustainability is also something that we have included. And we all know, right? All this heat, air turbulence, whatever, right? All this, it's an important area we cannot escape from. So we are always updating this curriculum. Guided learning is quite an interesting subject because it allows the students to explore in depth what they want to do under the guidance of industry and lecturers, because there may be projects they're very interested in. There's no space otherwise in the curriculum, so they explore this in terms of their self-directed learning. Okay. I won't go too much into this because some of you will be going to see the facilities. This is a snapshot of how engaged we are with industry, how we continue to look at the emerging needs. The one that's not here, that we launched just 2 days ago, and you may have seen it in the news, is our chemical pilot plant. And it's very recent because it has impact on even our NDP, our National Day Parade. Our students and staff will be working on converting waste cooking oil into biodiesel. And that will be used to power up the generators for National Day Parade. So it's happening all the time. Sometimes I also feel, wow, very hard to keep up. But it's exciting, especially for the students who are here and in the thick of things. Yeah. So speaking of the students, they will be looking at this obviously, CCA, right? What is beyond study? Got things to do or not? God, plenty. Yeah. If you look at me, you know that I'm not into sports, but performing arts, definitely very into it. So, in short, there's something for everyone. Yeah, not to worry about it. So more than 100 CCAs, and I think the important thing about CCAs is it's a way of learning life skills, which is why we encourage it. Not so much to chalk up points, but the friends you make for life, the bonds you make for life are really, really priceless. I'm going to play a little video to give you a snapshot of the kind of lifestyle that you will get here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, you get the drift. Very vibrant. When you walk through any evening, there'll be all these things happening. In terms of CCAs, sports would be a very big thing here. In fact, a lot of national level sports people like to come to TP because we understand that sometimes there may be a need to accommodate your timetabling, to accommodate certain trips that competitions that need to be taking place abroad. So we do get a fair share of even currently, national football players. I think Jacob Mahler is from here. Faris, can't remember his surname, but I think those of you in the football fraternity, you will know who it is. Yeah. So lots of things. And really, if you've attended any kind of arts performances, wow, I've been so impressed that the quality is really up there. It's really quite amazing. So kudos to our young people. Okay, industry partners. This is, again, just a snapshot of the industry partners we work with. And even as I speak, there's something happening in our auditorium. Stone's throw away. There's going to be an MOU signing with another industry partner. Unfortunately, there is an embargo on the information, so I can't reveal it, but it will be in the news. Watch out for it tonight. Okay? So yeah, as I say, things are happening all the time, and takes some energy to keep up. So again, just very quickly, go through if you're interested in aerospace, anything to do with aviation, this is one of its kind center that we have in partnership with Lufthansa. Yeah. If you're into cooking, and this explains my size because there's lots of good food here, always experimenting. It's really quite fun to see what the students do. Yeah, our partners with CIA, and a lot of our lecturers are also actively engaged in industry. So we actually allow them to go and compete. They take time off from the poly to go because it's good. They come back and they impart new, updated knowledge to the students. Of course, internships is a way of getting our students as close to industry as possible. Yeah, local internships as well as overseas internships. Yeah, I think this one is quite obvious. Yeah, the SQ Kabaya and the IT Institute. Right. A lot of them go out and get really good jobs. Anderson is into data analytics. Wee Liang is a sports psychologist. So really quite diverse. And the fact is, they are able to get into their dream jobs, after their stint here. Yeah. And this was an amazing opportunity as well. The Grand Prix, our culinary students went. They were able to curate a menu, and obviously they had a ball of a time, watching the F1. So more opportunities. This one in the design sector. Bodalo is this artist who converts recycled trash into animal shapes. Again, students went out and they were able to work alongside this artist for real. Going global is something definitely we believe in. We send more than 3,000 students out every year. We involve the whole TP community. So it's not just our academic staff, even some of the admin staff, they go there because we realize that we need to take care of the students. And some of our admin staff are, quite nurturing, and they want to also be involved in the nurturing of our young people. Yeah, UNESCO, Univoc, plugs us into world-class institutions, so we're able to visit quite a lot of places that otherwise we may not be able to get into. Yeah. Okay, are we not able to click the slide? Okay. Okay, so snapshot of where we go to. Yeah. So these are some of the success stories about in the engineering space. Mark managed to do an overseas trip to Korea. Another one is Karan. I think some of you may have seen the video. Currently in year 3, very interested in accountancy, and that's why he applied to come in here. And our recent graduate, she came in through EAE because she was in hospital a lot to take care of her grandmother. So this was her area of passion, and she's done well. Okay? So many more awards that I could talk about, but again, it's really a snapshot. World Skills, a very quick explanation that this is the Olympics of skills, and we do send our students there to compete, all over the world. Coming up in Lyon. Okay? So again, psychology, gerontology, these are the areas. And in terms of games, I mentioned about Polite, our sports. Yeah, New York festivals, in terms of TV is and film, it's quite prestigious. So we've won quite a significant number of awards. Okay. So the whole point of it is, yes, we study hard, we've got a whole slew of opportunities, and this is a happy ending. Pictures from our recent graduation, and the happy couple on this side of the screen, they met in design school in TP. They have just come back to have their wedding shoot photos done. So you see, you come in single, you exit, got life partner. Not a bad deal, huh? And got national agenda some more. Yeah? So anyway, that's where I will leave it. And just a reminder, if you've got any questions arising from some of the points I've shared, please go into Pigeonhole and put in your questions, and we will try and take them later at Q&A. So thank you very much for bearing with me for the past few minutes. I am now going to pass the time to my colleague, who is the Director of Academic Admissions. Chun Ling is going to come up, and he's going to be sharing with you the details and mechanics. Now, Chun Ling, he is a walking encyclopedia. You can ask him any question. He is better than any chatbot that we have come across. So, Chun Ling, I'm going to pass the time to you.
Okay, thank you, Anita. And thank you to all parents and students for joining us here this morning. We are very glad to have you here with us, mainly because EAE to us is a very big deal, okay? And we want that route for EAE to be an opportunity for all students here as well. So let's get down to the specifics. Anita mentioned that we have 36 diplomas and 5 common entry programs. When it comes to EAE, there's a need for every applicant, the students here, to have that clarity as to what will be the course that you want to apply for. There are 3 choices. You need to be very clear what you want to apply in terms of a first choice, second choice, and third choice. And if you are shortlisted for interview later on, you have to be even clearer about why you're choosing that course, express your interest, demonstrate your passion for the particular course that you're applying for, and to be able to demonstrate some other aspects in terms of how you pursue your interests. Okay? So that's why it is important between now and the application date, find out more, check out the website, decide for yourself what will be that 3 choices. Then why common entry programs? Very often at the end of Set 4 or Set 5, taking the O-levels, students know roughly some areas that they are interested in. You could be interested in design, but you might not have decided as yet whether you want to do interior architecture, communication design, or something related to fashion or film. Then that's where the common entry program comes in. There is a common design program. Likewise, those who are interested in some aspects of business, but you have yet to decide whether you're keen to look at marketing or logistics, international trade, or hospitality, then go for the common business program. Same for the rest. Okay? So here's an opportunity then for you to put one of these as your first choice. If you think it will be better to have that broader scope to start off with. Okay? So for this, why is the common entry program, or why are the common entry programs so important and so useful? Oh yes, by the way, please feel free to take photographs of the slides along the way. And at the end of it, I'll point you to a resource that TP has put together on the website where you can get a lot more details. Okay? So, common entry programs are important to us, and we do get a lot of applicants putting that in for EAE as well as for admissions exercises for other groups of students, because it allows you to have more time to join in the program first. You'll be doing common subjects, foundational subjects, similar to those who come in directly into that course. Okay? So for instance, if you're interested in some aspects of applied sciences, and you have yet to decide which aspect of applied sciences yet, you come and join us in the common science program. Some have already decided they want vet tech, then they go straight into vet tech. Some have decided they want to go into something related to nutrition and food science, then they go straight into that. But in the first 1 or 2 semesters, the subjects will be the same, so that everyone start off the same, but those in the common entry program has more time. You're doing the same subjects as the rest, but as you do the subjects, you get to find out more about the career prospects of that particular specialized area. And at the end of that 1 or 2 semester, then you make a decision where you want to move on to. And in the midst of that, we'll provide you with the educational and career guidance. Okay? So go for common entry programs if that fits for you. EAE. EAE started some years back, and specifically for 2 main groups of students. One, which will be a bigger group, will be those who are quite keen to go into applied learning, applied training in a polytechnic course. And at this point, they have that clarity, that's where they want to do, and they are able to demonstrate their interest, their passion, as well as aptitude for a particular area. So EAE then is suitable for that group of students. We're also interested to bring in students who have done very well in CCAs within their secondary schools or ITE, as well as outside of the schools. So if you have done quite a lot within that space and you have achieved quite a bit within schools or outside of schools, then we're also very interested to have you join us for EAE. Okay, important dates and important process. for EAE. So for the O-level students, remember it's going to be, the application will open on the 20th of June to 26th. 20th of June is the Thursday of your last week of your June holidays. Okay, so please do not forget. While you're still on your June holidays, remember the application will open. Go in, put in the application. It is not on a first come, first served basis, so there's no need to rush to put it in. You can take your time, find out more, prepare your write-up, and when you're ready, just put it in before the Wednesday of first week of term 3 for those in secondary school, 26th of June. Okay? For those of you who are final year students in ITE, your application dates are much earlier. Why? Because your term break is also different. Okay, so the application is from 6th to 12th of June. Now, once you put in the application, we will, within our polytechnic and within our diploma courses, we will be doing shortlisting. So we tend to have more students applying than what we may be looking to bring in. So we will arrange then to have interviews with a shortlisted group. So we will do shortlisting, and after having done the shortlisting, we will then invite the applicants to come for an aptitude test. Sometimes what we do is we just invite all applicants come in, do the aptitude test, whether online or on-site. And from there, then we shortlist further for interviews. So interviews will be over the period of July and August. So during that period, once you put in the application in June, please look out for details in the email that you have indicated the address in your application. Okay? So students here, you need to look out for emails. Okay, I know some of you may not be in the habit of checking emails, but during this period, in early July, please look out for emails from us, okay, to come for aptitude tests or for the interviews. Now, you have 3 choices that you can put in. And the order of the 3 choices will be important. First choice should be your most preferred. Second choice, second most preferred, and so on. Okay. Why is that important? When you finally have gone through the interview and the aptitude test process, and you may be called up for interviews and aptitude tests for all 3. Okay? If you're called up for all 3, then you know that you're up for selection subsequently. Now, finally, let's say you have applied first choice, the Temasek Poly 1 course, and then second choice, another Poly 1 course, and third choice, a third Poly 1 course. Let's say all 3 call you up for interview, and all 3 look at you and say, hey, you have demonstrated good passion and interest and shown good attitude, and we're going to offer. Okay? So then TP will put in your name into the computer system to offer. Likewise, the other 2 polys will do the same. Now, as these 3 recommendations go into the system, finally, the computer system will only offer for you only 1. Okay? Although all 3 have put up, there's only 1 final offer. And what will be the final offer? The final offer is the top ranked choice. So, if you have been recommended by all 3 polys for first, second, third choice, then you'll get the offer for first. Okay? So it's important, rank your choices according to what you most prefer. Okay, look out for the date. 6th of September will be when the results will come out. And it is crucial that every applicant go into the system, check the results of the offer. If you are successful to be offered, that's not the end of the story. You need to accept the offer. If you do not accept the offer, it will lapse. Okay? And there's no appeal process for EAE. Once it lapses, it means the offer disappears. Okay, so important to do that. So 6 to 11 September, go into the system, accept the offer. Okay? Okay, let me go on to some specifics. At the point of application, the 3 choices. For each choice, you select the course that you want. Then there'll be a text box for you to enter a write-up. The write-up is meant for you to put in why you have selected that course, and why we should be shortlisting you for the next stage of our interview and so on. Okay, so what do you do with that? Well, first of all, write about your interests and talents in that particular area. If you think not sure what to put in for that, we'll give you some examples later on. Give examples of your aptitude for applied learning, and for the particular area. For example, you might have attended certain short modules or workshops in a polytechnic related to the area during your term break. Then put that in. Okay, that's important. Or you might have attended some related courses within your secondary school or ITE or outside. Put that in as well. Elaborate on your participation in activities like CCA and achievements related to leadership and related to the diploma you're applying for. So if modern, rather than editing it within that text box, do it on Word document, and then you can transfer it over. If you think you're not sure whether you phrase it correctly, put it through ChatGPT. Just make sure that whatever ChatGPT comes out to offer to you, it is true for you. If not, then edit it before you put it into the application. Okay? So you can do all that. Parents, you can check your child's work and see whether that rightly express his interests and passions and his achievements and so on. Then parents can also help with that as well. Okay, these are some examples. Okay, you need to keep it to 600 characters, which means including space and comma and so on. So keep it to 600 characters. It's not write as much as you can, not so much, but keep it to the point and highlight the important things. What should you be doing? Tell us why you're interested in the course. So in this case, someone applying for the diploma in early childhood development and education indicated why she's interested in the course. So it cannot be just say, I'm very interested and no reason behind it. Okay? So why are you interested? It may not be something related to what you have been exposed to extensively, but as long as it's something that has sparked off that interest, you can put that in. Okay? Whether it be as simple as, I'm interested in early childhood. Why? Because I'm helping to take care of my nephew and nieces, and along the way, I find great fulfillment from it. That's a good point to put in. As simple as that. Okay? If you have done some part-time work somewhere related to children, in running workshops for them, for example, or in some community groups, and you have been helping out, taking care of children, and that's fantastic. Please put that in. If you are able to, get a testimonial letter or a reference letter from the organizer. Okay? So, another example, someone who has been very active in CCA and have achieved quite a bit there, so you can highlight that as well. But that should not be the only thing in the application write-up for that particular course. So in this case, a student who is interested in life sciences. The other aspects that we very much like to hear from you in the write-up will be how you have pursued your interest. Is it just from reading more about it, doing your own research, attending certain courses on your own? Tell us more about that. And that's useful because it shows to us that you are really interested, and that's how you pursue that interest. Okay? So here's an example of that. You notice the write-up are all very simple, and they are not extensively long. Okay? You don't have to make it super long because we do not have the time to read everything anyway. We are more interested in the salient points. Okay. Apart from the 600 character write-up for each of the courses that you're applying for, each of the three, at the end of that three courses that you put down in the write-up text box, there is another text box for you to put in a 1,000 character write-up. Okay, now what's that for? Basically, it's to highlight your achievements. Okay, highlight what else have you achieved in terms of CCA especially, because from that text box, it allows us to identify certain top CCA leaders, top sportsmen, students who have done very well in performing arts, for example. And we will be selecting some of these candidates through the route of sports talents, CCA achievements, as well as leaders in some other areas. Okay. Good. So that's the application stage. After you have applied, we will look through and we will do shortlisting by way of aptitude tests and checking portfolio and calling students for interview. So this is how we do our assessment. At the end of it, how do we decide what to offer, who to offer to? So it will be based on these three areas. Number one, a portfolio. The portfolio will be something that we will ask for you to show to us or submit online at the point when you're shortlisted. Okay? Then the interview. The aptitude test could be done before the interview or as part of the interview. Okay? So the aptitude tests are not a test of your knowledge of the area or your competency of the area. Not so. So if you're applying for, say, aerospace engineering, we're not asking you on how you do overhaul, maintenance, and so on. No. We are looking at questions that will suss out your interest, general knowledge at the most, as well as certain aspects. For example, engineering, they may look at questions that will test your logic thinking, okay, or some aspects of how comfortable you are with certain aspects of mathematics. So the aptitude test is meant for that, okay, and they are not meant to be too daunting. Okay, aptitude test tends to be quite exciting to do. It's something that as you do it, it really shows your interest and you're able to demonstrate how good you are at it. So students who are into the area tend to enjoy doing aptitude tests. Okay, and I mentioned just now about CCA. Let's move on. Okay, so in terms of the aptitude test, some of our interviews will be done online. All that, we will send you the information through email. Okay, so please look out for your email for that. So how do you submit your portfolio, or do you prepare a file to bring to the interview? So all that will be indicated in the email that we'll be sending to you. If you're selected for interview, please do come prepared, come early, read up on the course. When you're asked at the interview session, why do you apply for the course, please do not say, because I'm worried about O-level. I'm hoping to get a place in before I sit for O-level. Okay, be prepared to share what you know of the course and why you're choosing that course. Okay, tell us how you have gone about finding out more about the course, how you have pursued your interest. Just some examples, okay? Yeah. Good. Portfolio. For the portfolio, basically, we are asking for just a compilation of what you have done so far, what you have gone through so far, whether it be in terms of your exposure to something related to the area. Let's say you've done some part-time work. For quite a lot of students, I know they've done quite a lot of part-time work during their vacation. Now, some of this may or may not be related, but nonetheless, to us, it is important. So, for instance, you are interested in a course in business, but your part-time work is, say, in McDonald's. Would that be relevant to us? Yes. Okay. Share with us how's your experience working in McDonald's. What is it that you have learned about operations within McDonald's? What have you learned about how they structure staff to handle different types of work? That is an important aspect of business management. Got the idea? So if you have done some part-time work in some retail sector or food, F&B companies, and you're applying for, say, applied science or early childhood, is that relevant? Well, tell us about how it has been for you working with other colleagues how you have managed some difficult customers, for example, and that will give us a lot of information of what you have learned from it. Okay, so useful for that. So portfolio, evidence of your interest, ability, certificates of achievements, participation, any courses you have gone through in school, put that in. Very important, design, IIT courses. You have done any creative work on your own. For IIT courses, for example, if you have done some simple apps on your own, or you have played around with some coding, tell us about that because that's useful. And then we will engage you to find out what you've learned from all those experiences. Please do not approach your teacher for testimonial. Okay? Those of you in secondary schools or in ITE, do not approach your teachers for testimonial for the simple reason we do not have time to read. Okay? And everyone in schools will get a testimonial at the end of it. So there's no need for you to ask them for the testimonial ahead of time. We are going to focus on other aspects instead. Okay, very important. Please take note of this. Every year, when we offer students EAE places, remember you have to accept if we offer to you. And once they have accepted, there is another window for them to change their mind. We offered it in September, they accepted, for example. And then later on, before they sit for O-level exams, sometime in October, if they have changed their mind and say, I'll rather keep my options open, I want to consider JCs and maybe other poly courses, they can still withdraw from the EAE offer sometime in October. For students who do not withdraw, then the EAE place is locked in. Okay? Now, at the end, when the O-level results come out for O-level students, you need to meet the course minimum entry requirement. Every year, we have a group of students who do not meet the minimum entry requirement. What will happen then? They will lose their place in EAE. Okay? Which means they will not have that place in the diploma anymore. They got to apply under joint admission exercise, JAE, all over again for poly, JC, Millennium Institute courses. So, when you offer EAE places, you still got to work very hard for O levels. Do your best, do very well, prepare well, and it will help you ensure your EAE place. It also prepare you even better when you come and join us to study. For ITE students, you also need to meet a minimum entry, okay? And that's stated there. Good. Let me pass the time now to our MCs. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kwan and Mr. Song, for that information. Like Ms. Kwan mentioned, we have many different fun and exciting CCA groups in TP, and we also have a very lively and vibrant campus, which is what makes us unique. And as for the information that Mr. Song shared, I'm sure you would have learned some insider tips on how to help your child secure a spot in their favorite poly and course. Now, we're excited for the next segment as you get to hear from two guests about their EAE experience for our parents and student sharing segment. Hopefully, they can give you some useful nuggets of tips and advice. Without further ado, let's welcome our moderator, Jeffrey Tan, as well as engineering student Joshua Key and his mother, Alina Gui.
Well, there's a lot of people here. Good morning, everyone. Glad to see all of you here. And I'd like to thank both Elena and Joshua for coming here and sharing their Saturday morning with us. They're going to tell us a little bit more about their own experiences going through the EAE. And hopefully it will give you an idea of what it's like from both the students' perspective and the parents' perspective. Yeah? Okay, Joshua, first off, there's the whole problem with having too many choices is, what do I do? How do I choose? Especially, I'm going to be locked in, right? So how did you make that decision on mechatronics? What was it that, that you did?
Well, for me, mechatronics, when I heard of this course, I thought it was a normal robotics course. So it actually kind of piqued my interest itself. But after further research, I actually found out that mechatronics is much more than just a robotics course. It's actually more of a future of mechanics, electronics, and robotics, automation, engineering itself. So it is actually something that ignite my interest into the course itself, as it is very related to engineering, which is something that I really like. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Elena, I mean, you've seen Joshua, he was a toddler and he grew up, and what was the experience like? You're looking at your son and he's having to make a choice that's going to determine at least the next few years of his life. What was it like for you?
Right. So I'm just like many of you parents here. 16 years old, he tell you that he wanted to do mechatronics. I was like, so many question marks. What's mechatronics? It's a big word to me at that moment. From young, he only likes robots, wires. So I only know robotics. It comes with a big word. Mommy, I want to do mechatronics. So a lot of question marks. Oh, what's that? Okay, I have to Google also, right? Back then, there's no chat GPT then. So we sat down and then we talked about it. Yeah, and then we came to a decision. And then after that, I also throw him a lot of questions. Are you sure? Are you very, very, very sure? Mechatronics, really? This is what you want to do for the next 3 years? So we come to a decision and then we sat down and talked a lot more about it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Joshua, back to you. Okay, what was it that made you think, I want to go through EAE? Why early admissions exercise?
So basically, I actually attended a few EAE sharing sessions by some of the alumni, but from different polytechnics itself. So I actually learned a lot of benefits of EAE. So at the age of 16, I would question myself, what do I want to learn in the next 3 years itself? So I decided I should give it a shot on EAE, and I decided to apply for it. So here I am in TP through the EAE process.
Okay, thank you. Okay, back to you, Elena. I mean, as a parent, right, you're so used to worrying about your child, right? And of course, the concern will still be, is he making the right decision, right? Did you have any concerns about, this choice he's making? It's like, were there any issues you had to struggle with?
Definitely I have. I'm sure many parents here will be asking yourself like, sure or not, mechatronics, next 3 years. What happens if your child comes back to you and tell you, say, Mommy, after 1 year, I want to change course, right? So this is something that's really a big concern to me because I wouldn't want him to, to change course midway because after 1 year, you tell me, say you want to change course because it's a big decision for the next 3 years. Okay, so this is one big concern for me back then. But he really convinced us. So he tells us and show us what are the future career pathways, what can be after poly where he will go for his further studies, and what can this course lead him into as well. So this is something vital for me and him back then. Yeah, so this is something that I don't want him to go through, that you tell me, say, after 1 year you want to change course. Yeah, that was a very big concern for me.
Yeah, I think that is something most parents here would also agree with, right? So Joshua, it sounds like you did quite a bit of research on the course. Can I know what exactly you did? I mean, which sites you went to? How did you get this information?
So basically, my EAE journey was actually quite a fruitful one itself. Although it can be very, very nerve-wracking for a 16-year-old because it's actually planning on what you want to be in the future itself. So I understand that fear itself, but actually, so I think it's actually on the... Sorry, don't mind repeat the question. I'm so sorry.
Basically, just curious about how... what was in your mind when you were researching, right? What is this thing called mechatronics, which is the best course kind of thing?
Okay,
yeah?
so basically, I had to do a lot of research on the different kinds of courses related to engineering itself. So there are many different types of polys, and also there are many different types of engineering. I had to literally figure out what is the course that is actually something that I want to learn. So there can be the different types of subject modules. It can be also the different type of people that you're going to meet there. It is also, another thing was also on the location. Yeah.
Okay, so Temasek Poly was not your first choice.
No. It was actually pretty much my first choice. Yeah.
Okay, good. I mean, this is interesting because a lot of people your age may have difficulty deciding, right? So tell me what the EAE experience was like then. I mean, applying and preparing for interviews.
So basically, EAE was a full one, but there were a lot of things to prepare on. Firstly, would be to understand the subjects and actually understand your course. Because it will feel weird in which you say, oh, I want to join this course, but then you didn't really do much preparation. Next will be actually about to do your portfolios. So that can be PowerPoint, it can be Canvas. But for me, I actually use Google Sites for my portfolio itself. So in my portfolio, I actually put a lot of highlighted pictures, videos, and reflections on key events, which is actually quite related to my course itself. Then the next thing was to prepare for my mock interviews. So I basically had to train really hard in front of Zoom cameras and also in front of mirrors to actually build up my confidence during my interviews.
Okay, so you were really prepared, lah.
Yeah.
Okay, Elena, right? As a mother looking at your child going through this really stressful process, it's different from PSLE in the sense that PSLE, when they're younger, they're not so clear about what the stakes are. But looking at him, right? How did you feel? What did you do? What did you do to support him?
Okay, so as parents here, some of you are wondering, like, what are the things that we can actually help our child? Number one, really talk to your child, okay? And then for the interviews itself, we did a lot of sparring session with them, with him, in fact. So daddies and mummies, get the daddies involved as well, okay? Because we are all very experienced, and to all the teenagers here, your parents have gone through more interviews than you, okay? So what happens is that when you do sparring session with your parents, you get to learn of unexpected questions from the interviewers, that is from Poly itself. This is something that we did during our time. And then in terms of presentation or for your portfolio, so you can actually teach them some of the apps like Canva, how do you do presentation, and then PowerPoint. And I'm very sure a lot of you are very familiar with Google Slides, which is used in secondary schools nowadays. Yeah, these are some of the things that we can actually help our children. And when we go through this EAE process itself.
Okay, yeah. So it still sounds like you had to do quite a bit of work. No.
No, not really. It's just that to guide them along, but you don't do for them. Yeah, because they have their own mind. They have their own mind, they have their own decision, their own thoughts. So let's hear from them as well.
Okay. So Joshua, so did you appreciate it then that your mom was doing that for you?
Definitely. So to all the parents, I think it's best that you give your child your fullest support, and also just hear them out when it comes to what they want to learn in poly itself. Because I feel that it's a very important factor for the students' growth itself. Okay. So I feel that the parents, when they help out with to support the child itself, they can really go very far itself.
Okay. Elena, I noticed you didn't go after this is what my mother used to say, that job cannot make money one. So, I mean, was there any inclination like, hey, maybe I should guide him, I'm not sure about this field kind of thing?
Okay, this is really from a parenting perspective, that every child has their own talent, be it whether is it art, is it science, is it engineer, is it business, anything. Each child definitely has their own interest. This is something that I want to do for parent to parent, that parents out there, remember that your child is unique to you. Remember the child that is beside you is someone that has something in them. You have to find it. Okay? So like what Jeffrey has mentioned, you cannot earn money. Every job lends us some money, definitely. It's a matter of how far can you go, how further can we support our children so that they can journey along and contribute back to the society as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Joshua, just curious, right? You made the choice to go through EAE. And so now you are there, you're in year 2. Any thoughts about it? Would you have done things differently? Would there have been,
Actually, not really. Yeah. Okay. So actually, I pretty much prepared quite well with my parents' support as well. So working on the portfolios and preparing for the aptitude test, and also, but then there's one issue that I want to bring up, which will be on the confidence when doing interviews, because we have to understand that we're not doing a one-to-one interview. You're actually for the students. You guys are actually doing a group interview with a group of lecturers. So it can be quite stressful when it comes to being worried that another student actually expresses much more better experiences than you. But from my experience, just go with the flow, always have a growth mindset. Basically, what you want to do is that you just express what your aspirations and what your dreams are and how you want to further study and learn through the course and why you're so interested about it.
Okay.
I think that is the most important factor.
Yeah,
So.
thank you for that. That begs the question, so would you describe yourself as naturally confident?
I think before the interviews, I wasn't, but after all the practices and all the trainings, especially all the sparrings with my mom, yeah, I think I've actually been able to confidently express myself during the EAE interviews itself.
Okay. So no regrets at all?
Yeah, no regrets.
Okay, just for your information, Joshua is enjoying his life here in Temasek Poly, and he's doing very well in mechatronics as well, right? So I guess the remainder of it would be, Elena, do you have any other tips for parents, right, whose children are considering EAE?
Okay, for parents, I believe that when you are here, you are already almost 50% decided, or rather even 75% decided, because the application is just at this month end. Work with your child. It's not too late to go through the Temasek Poly website. Okay, go into the course itself, go into details and look into their modules. What are they going to study? Try not to decide for them. Sit down with them and really listen to them, so that when you listen to them, they will listen to us, because it's a mutual respect. They definitely have a mind of their own at 16 years old. So we listen to them for their decision making first, then we see how we can go further and then make a decision together. And EAE is something that I think that we can give it a try and give it a shot. Okay, because this is one thing that the child actually has the passion and interest in.
Okay, thank you, Elena. Thank you, Joshua, as well. I think we've run out of time. Just a very quick wrap up, right? Basically, if you're a student, right, this is not an easy way to get in here. That's not the point. The point of an EAE is for you to express your interest early, right? If you can do that, right, and this is the course for you. This is the way to go, right? For parents, right, yes, we all have our opinions. I have a child myself. It's like, you want to tell them this is the best course for you, but your child has to want it, right? I guess that's the best way to put it. Do you agree? Okay, thank you. Thank you to both of you. And back to the MCs.
Thank you, Elena and Joshua, for that insightful sharing. And of course, thank you, Jeffrey, for moderating that session. From this, I'm quite sure that all of you are more confident and more aware of how EAE goes from the perspective of a parent and a student. And now we have actually come to the most important segment of the seminar today. This is where we seek to answer all the burning questions that you may have about EAE. But also, here's a gentle reminder that if you have any school or diploma specific questions, your host at the school tours would be more than happy to answer it and also provide you with more information on it. So without further ado, let's welcome our panel members, TP Principal and CEO, Mr. Peter Lam, Deputy Principal, Ms. Anita Kwan, and last but not least, Deputy Director of Academic Affairs, Mr. Sun Chung Lin.
Thank you, Farah and Georgina. Wow. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Temasek Polytechnic, and thank you very much for taking time to join us on a wet Saturday morning. I know Saturdays are very important for you to recharge yourself, spend time with your loved ones, or engage in sports and your hobbies. So we hope that we have put together a useful program for you to find out more about Temasek Polytechnic, the courses that you are interested in, and to ask questions as well to help you in your application for the EAE. So please make the best use of the time later, at this Q&A session, and also later when you go to the schools to find out more about the courses. When you go to the schools, do find out, when you're going through the briefing by the directors, the school directors, as well as the course lecturers, find out about, what are they teaching, the modules, what kind of modules do the students have to go through for the courses, what kind of skills will you expect to acquire through the course, what kind of experiences will you expect to go through when you are undertaking the course, including maybe lab experiences, real-life experiences with the industry, as well as the specializations in each of the courses. For example, when it comes to chemical engineering, all the courses in the polytechnics will teach you the fundamentals in chemical engineering, but different polytechnics may have different focuses. For example, in Temasek Polytechnic, we do have a specialization in semiconductor because the semiconductor industry actually hires a lot of chemical engineers. 30% of the fresh engineers that Micron hires every year are chemical engineers. So we feel that it's important for us not just to train students for the oil and gas industry or for the petrochemical industry, but also for semicon industry as well. So these are specializations that may be more unique to certain polytechnics, which you should get to know about and to find out how that also adds to your acquisition of skills or align with the interests you have with a particular area. Also find out about the other experiences beyond the curriculum. For example, what is the kind of culture in Temasek Polytechnic, what kind of student experiences and student life you will get to go through when you are in TP. Anita has shared about the vibrant campus life that we have. This is something that we pride ourselves. So do find out more about this area and particularly around areas like overseas experiences, because we do try to send every student, give every student the opportunity to go overseas during their course as part of global study so that you can be exposed to the region around us. Also specific to your course, we also send students to countries where you could learn something more about the area that you're interested in. So in psychology, for example, we will send students maybe to Hong Kong to find out about some of the social systems or social welfare system that they have and how is it different from Singapore, for example. So really the student life in TP is very varied, and do find out more about them. And also find out about the kind of financial aid, scholarships that are available to you, and the kind of support that you can potentially receive if you maybe have certain special learning needs, because we do want to focus a lot on that area as well to help you to do well when you're here in Temasek Polytechnic. So in TP, there's this question about what's different about TP from the rest of the other polytechnics. I would say, look at the courses, because we do have niche areas. We do have courses that are very unique to us that other polytechnics don't have. So for example, veterinary science or veterinary tech. We also have courses in law and management, and we are the only poly that offers that course. We have courses in early childhood that is only offered in Ngee Ann Polytechnic and ourselves. So these are maybe some of the more unique courses that we offer, and please, do find out more about these courses. And also find out about, of course, the student life that I mentioned earlier. And that is something that is unique about us as well, our culture. Our teaching approach tends to be very hands-on, and we would like to really make sure that the students get exposed to the latest that's happening in the industry. So we invest a lot in our training facilities. You can expect to see really multi-million dollars worth of investment that are spent on our labs, our centers, to expose you to what is the latest that's happening. So students in mechatronics, where Joshua comes from, we have the Advanced Manufacturing Center, which costs, I think, easily about $5 to $6 million to set up. The recent chemical pilot plant that Anita mentioned gives real hands-on training for students in the chemical engineering area, and it costs, I think, about $2 million for us to set up the center. And you do get to experience, the hands-on part of taking apart the equipment, even though the equipment is really very expensive and it's a hefty investment. The other area that we pride ourselves in is really having a very vibrant campus life. And like what Anita said, if you come to the campus, even in the evenings at 7, 8 o'clock at night, you still see a lot of students around, a lot of vibrancy on the campus. And I think that's something that we pride ourselves in. And of course, the caring culture that we have, that I mentioned earlier, not just in terms of making sure that you do well in your studies, but also to support you in areas outside of your studies as well. So we do offer advice to you when it comes to what are the pathways that you can look forward to after you're graduating, after graduating from Temasek Polytechnic, whether is it for further studies or to the industry. And even if you go on to the industry, you may not be so maybe clear about pursuing the pathway that you are trained in. And we are quite happy to discuss with you to maybe talk about what are some of the transferable skills that you have acquired in your course, and how can you perhaps look for jobs that use that transferable skills but in other industries. So these are some of the areas that I think we pride ourselves in terms of helping you to do well when you're here in TP, and then subsequently also preparing you for your life after you have graduated from Temasek Polytechnic. So maybe without further ado, just like to go through some of the questions that you have posed. Just want to thank everybody for posing the questions online through the Pigeonhole. If you have any questions that you want to raise, please put up your hands. We'll be happy to take any questions as well.
Yeah, before we go to the questions proper, I just wanted to pick up on what you said, Peter, about the student support. Education and career guidance, you mentioned. Just to also share that we have a center that's set up very purposefully for education and career guidance, so our students are able to speak to our counselors. Aside from the lectures, there's also another point where such conversations and meetings can be set up. In fact, we've got a brilliant new facility as well for students with special needs. It's really state of the art. And currently, I think we're probably the only poly that has such state-of-the-art facilities, because we recognize that this is a growing area of need, and we are trying to support our students as much as possible, a diverse group of students. With that, I'll go into the first question, which is really the top voted. This sounds like a Sen Chun Ling question. In terms of the portfolio, if there's not much evidence, don't know what to write, I like the area, but I actually don't have a lot of experience. How?
Okay, thank you. I mentioned just now in my sharing that I'll point you to a place where you could get a lot more details, and I forgot to say it at the end, but let me say it now. If you just look at your phone, go to our TP website, go to www.tp.edu.sg. Go there, you'll find our EAE microsite there. Just scroll down a few sections, you'll see an EAE guide. Okay? That's a very useful and very important document that you all should refer to. Because why? We have painstakingly put together a very comprehensive guide that will tell you for a particular course that you're interested in, and you'll be all the 36 diplomas, 5 common entry programs. For any one particular one, go to the guide and you'll be able to read what is it that we'll be looking out for that course, for aptitude tests, what we'll be doing for aptitude tests, what will we be looking out for portfolio, and what is it that we'll be focusing on for interviews, down to the specific diploma. Okay, so please go to that, check it out for those courses that you're interested in. Okay? Most useful guide for everyone. So in terms of portfolio, think about what you have gone through in that 4 years in secondary school, or for IT students here, what you've gone through in your higher NITEC or in your higher NITEC course, and think about what is it that you have done well in, whether it be in terms of CCA or in some other areas within the school. Then look for evidences that can showcase that. Okay? Then put it into the portfolio. We are not going to be focusing on your mid-year exam results, set 3 exam results. No, we will not be looking at that as much. But more in terms of how you have pursued your interests. Look for, if you have done part-time work, tell us more about that, and you can put in some evidence of it into the portfolio. If you have done some creative work, definitely you got to put that in, whether it be a hard copy form or a video or something you have done online, put that in as well. Sometimes it's just based on what you have participated in with your classmates. For example, you have helped out in some school carnival and you have run a store, a simple store that you run with your classmates to sell something to raise funds. Tell us about that, and you can put in some evidence of it into the portfolio as well. Okay.
Yeah. This is a related question as well, the aptitude test. Or Peter, you wanted to jump in?
Just wanted to add on to what Chuling had said, and I thought what Elena and Joshua mentioned is very valuable. Actually, you're not alone in this EAE journey. Your parents are there to support you, your friends as well. So actually it's good to bounce off some ideas with your parents and your friends when you're putting up the application and putting together the portfolio, because you may not see sometimes the relevance of the things that you do to the course that you applied for, but your parents and your friends sometimes can offer different perspectives and say that, hey, actually you can do this, something interesting that you've done, and actually it does in some way link to the course that you have applied to and demonstrated some interest in this, and you can help to generate some ideas and say that, hey, actually you do make sense. I know kids always think that your parents are boomers and may not be very in tune with your interests or your likes and dislikes, but I think the benefit of us being parents and having so many years of experience is the wisdom. So we can ask you questions, we can maybe help to provide a different perspective. So do use, do remember the fact that this application journey, you're not alone, and tap on your parents for their wisdom to help you to maybe draw some connections between what you have done and the course that you might be interested in.
Speaking from a parent's perspective, I can also imagine that a young person, I'm thinking about my own kids, right? Go and check how to do an interview like that. Perhaps another adult, a family friend, or someone that the child can trust to do that kind of sparring. What I found quite helpful is also to record yourself, doing the interview, and then try to be objective. Say, how did I do that? If I were to be asked that question again, how would I do it? I think the panel, from the interviewer's perspective, we also can tell if it's rehearsed. So what we actually want to tease out is the real aptitude, desire, the fire to be in the course. Because there's no point acing the interview, getting a place, and then coming in, deciding and discovering that, actually, this may not be the course of choice. So we are really quite serious about making sure the fit is there, because we do want you to succeed. Right? So we do tease out all these things. So interviewers are smarter than you would think, okay, to tease out. Yeah, but that whole sparring is useful. This is another thing that I think quite an operational question. You may have touched on it later, earlier, actually, Chun Ling, about having 3 courses in different polys versus must be the same poly, right?
Okay, so 3 choices. Up to you to put on whatever 3 choices you want to. It can be within the same poly, it can be across polytechnics. Sometimes people ask, can I be putting first choice, say in life science course, second choice design course, and third choice business course? If you're really interested in 3 different areas, by all means go and put it in, okay, in line with what you want. Can it be 3 same courses across 3 polys? For example, common engineering program, 1 poly, then common engineering program for the next 2. Up to you. Okay, you can put in, but order your choices, as I mentioned, in line with what you're most interested in. Okay, very important.
Of course, do think about your courses as well, because the panel will also want to find out, how come you have chosen like engineering in TP, design in SP, and maybe humanities in MP and how come your courses are so varied? So if you are able to draw the connection and help us to understand why you make those choices, then at least we understand where you're coming from. So when you make your choices, certainly you can be very, very different courses because your interests are very, very varied. But do help us to understand as well, because sometimes we do want to find out more about you, and you want to figure out what influenced your decision. No?
Sounds like a lot of excitement, the vibrancy is happening outside. Yeah. A percentage that is given to EAE applicants. I mentioned overall we do accept about a quarter, but I'm sure there are differences, right, across the courses.
Yep.
Okay, for certain courses, particularly those that are a lot more hands-on, very heavy in terms of attitude, students' inclination to be able to do very well in those courses. And I'm specifically referring to all our IT courses, informatics and IT courses, all our design courses, early childhood, development and education course, and a few others across the different schools, like culinary and catering management. We will take up to about 50% of our overall intake through EAE. Okay, so that's a lot of places. For all other courses, we will take up to about 30% through EAE. And for TP, we are very into it, as Anita started off in her sharing earlier on. Why? Because it has shown very good results in terms of they are doing very well in the course, vis-a-vis someone else who may have come in through GAE with even better results, O-level results. So because it has shown itself very well, we are very big into it. Okay, so we'll go as high as we could find as many good applicants to offer to.
Yeah. And it's best when you go on the school tours for the very specific course you're looking at to direct the question to the school, because they would be able to then share in terms of the actual percentage that they're looking at. That would be the best way, then be very generic. The point of EAE then, what is the point of EAE if I still need to meet entry point requirements? Maybe I should then position it in such a way. EAE versus JAE, why not one or the other?
Okay.
Told you, right? He's better than a chatbot.
Yeah, actually the point of EAE is really to admit students who have demonstrated interest in a particular area. And different courses have different cut-off points. So, for example, psychology is the most popular course, or I would say most competitive course across the 100 and how many? 69 courses in the Polytechnic. Like last aggregate score to gain admission into the psychology course, if you are applying to JAE, I think this academic year is 8 points or 7 points. Yeah, about 8 points. Which means basically you have to score distinctions throughout. But if you apply through EAE, you can be admitted based on a strong portfolio And if you do not meet the last aggregate score, you can still gain admission. So I think all of us are very familiar. But why do we still need to make sure that you meet the minimum entry requirement if we do offer you a course via EAE? It's really to make sure that you are able to do well in a course. So for example, if you offer you a place in aerospace engineering, but unfortunately you did not secure a good grade or the minimum grade that we expect you to have for mathematics, then for your to make sure that you're able to do well, we have to say that okay, you it might be better for you to pursue a different course before, so that you can do well in the Polytechnic. Yeah, because we have gone through experiences, and our colleagues are pretty familiar that if a student were to do well in a particular course, you do need a certain level of foundation. And this minimum entry requirement ensure that you have a minimum foundation in order for you to do well in the particular course. And that's why you need to meet the minimum entry point, even though you're offered a place via EAE.
So in terms of the minimum entry requirements, we are only referring to the minimum for English, minimum for mathematics for most courses, and one or two other relevant subjects. Okay, and 26 points for overall aggregate, 26 points and below. So that's the minimum. And as Peter explained, because why you need that at the point of entry to be somewhat proficient in minimally that 6 or 7, grade 6 or 7 for English, minimally that grade 6 or 7 for mathematics, before you're able to handle the contents for that particular diploma.
Yeah, so this is a similar question. I think in terms of clarification, last aggregate score, minimum entry requirement, and then the 26 points. If we could just clarify, minimum entry requirement is what Chun had just said. You know, it's really the minimum barrier to enter the pool. The last aggregate score is the actual score through JAE that they have come into, and that psychology, for example, is 8. So when you apply for EAE, doesn't mean that you must have 8 to be able to be considered for EAE. But then ultimately, the 26 points is, if you do get 26 points and above, that EAE offer, if you have it, will be taken back. So you'll have to apply through another route. Right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Anita covered everything. So,
okay. Because when the way I read this question, it seemed like, there was some confusion between minimum entry requirement and the last aggregate score. It's quite different. So no need to worry about it. Just apply if you feel that this is the course you want to be considered for, and TP is what you want to be considered for. There's a question about write-ups. If you're going to apply to 3 similar courses across 3 different polys, what do you actually submit in the portal? And base?
Putting a bit more effort, you have to do 1 write-up per choice. Okay, I've seen applications where the write-up for all 3 choices are exactly the same word for word. But it cannot be exactly the same because you're applying for 3 different courses. Even if you're applying for, say, common business program across 3 polys, the common business program for all 3 polys are somewhat different. Because the curriculum we cover will be somewhat different. The specialization that we offer subsequently will also be different. So putting a bit more effort, because the write-up that we are going to be reading will be the one that is for TP course. So if you're giving a general one, then it may not surface some of your strong points. Okay, so put in more effort into that.
Again, an EAE versus JAE kind of consideration. If you get a place in EAE, you don't accept it, when JAE comes, how will I be penalized?
And short answer is no, because the JAE is a computer system processing. So you just pump your choices through the JAE, and the computer will just allocate based on your aggregate score.
Okay, so to add, if you are offered a place in EAE and you have accepted it, then subsequently do not withdraw, that place is locked in. TP will be committed to take you in even if, say, back to the example of psychology, you have gotten 26 points and you have passed your English, passed your mathematics. We are committed to take you in with that 26 points because you have done well in our EAE selection. Even though our cutoff is 8 points. You cannot back out, okay? We don't back out, you also cannot back out. Both of us are committed to the offer. So you cannot say, now that I may be more interested in something else, I want to do JAE. You cannot, because you will not have the access code into JAE to do JAE when you're already an EAE confirmed student.
So in the form, it's all blacked out. They don't even have an option to take part in GAE.
Yeah, you
Is
can't
that
even log
correct?
in
Yeah.
into the system.
So it's like Hotel California. You come in, but cannot go out.
Yeah, but which is why it's important for the students to think very clearly about your interests, and also for the parents to be there to guide the students through the application and spar with the student. Are you sure this is what you want? What do you exactly want to do? What are your aptitudes and your strengths? Is this course really aligned with your interests and your attitude? So it's important to go through that process.
Okay, don't qualify for JE, but appeal. How?
There's no appeal process for EAE. Okay? So if you offer your second choice but you want to appeal for first choice, the answer is no. If you change your mind in the midst of selection period, you want to appeal for something else, no. If you're not shortlisted for interviews, after you're putting an application, you're not shortlisted and you want to put in an appeal to be called up for interview, answer is also no. The EAE process is one where we are providing the opportunity for you to try, put in an application. We will look closely at your application write-up. We will put in the aptitude test for you to be able to demonstrate your aptitude for that course, and we'll call you up for interview for shortlisted group. And then you have a chance for all this. So be clear what you want to apply for. Let me add in something else at this point. When it comes to aptitude test and interview, don't be stressed about it, okay? When it comes to interview, it is going to be the interviewing panel, the lecturers wanting to know more about you. It's a chance for you to share more. Please don't go and memorize, as Anita mentioned just now. Don't go and rehearse, memorize so much, and you come and then you want to regurgitate everything that you memorized, you'll come out wrong. Okay? And the lecturers, you can see they'll switch off because they know you are recalling something you have memorized. Just come, share more about yourself, your interests, okay? And tell the lecturers more about what you have done, why you're interested in that course. Likewise for aptitude test, don't be stressed about it. It's not a test of specific knowledge of that course. It is basically more to look at what have you found out in terms of the particular area that you're applying for. Okay. Then some other questions, whether it be related to logic for IT courses, engineering courses, these are you come naturally to you if you are inclined towards that area. Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes we've encountered situations where the interviewers ask one question, and because the student has rehearsed, the answers come out perfect, but it doesn't address the question. We're like, but so I think that's also the downside of over-rehearse. And it's really, we want to get to know you better. Having that chat is something that we want you to enjoy as well. Yeah. This one, evergreen question. I was just waiting for it to come up. And this one is a Peter Lam question. How many of our students enter university? I suppose not just NUS, NTU, but universities
all the autonomous
in general.
universities. Well, I mean, ultimately the mission of the Polytechnic is still to train students for the industry, and which is why our training is really very hands-on and very industry-driven. So all the schools have has a school advisory committee where we have industry reps to make sure that our curriculum mirrors what is required by the industry. But having said so, today there are many pathways for polytechnic students. I think maybe as early as 10 years ago, the proportion of students, polytechnic graduates entering the university is probably overall across the 5 polytechnics is maybe about 20-30%. Today, on average, across the 5 polytechnics, I think you can expect to see maybe about 40% of students going into the universities. And when I say universities, autonomous universities in Singapore, which is your NUS, NTU, SMU, SUTD, SUSS, SIT. The proportion of Temasek Poly students entering universities, the local universities, is about 50% on average. Certain courses have a lot more, some courses maybe slightly fewer, but generally it's about 50%, which actually, to be honest, is quite a high proportion. And the reason why and this 50%, you have to look in context with the proportion of students that choose to pursue further education after their diploma studies in Temasek Poly, and that is on average about 60%. So out of 60%, actually 5 in 6 of them, or rather 83% of them actually get a place in the local universities, which is a pretty high number. So that is the outcome, or that is one pathway that your child can look forward to. But of course, we do encourage our students to explore work opportunities as well, because sometimes when you go out to work immediately after your polytechnic studies and after graduating from polytechnic, you have a clearer idea about what you want to do in the university. And we do get students who have done well in their studies in the poly, but choose to go to work first because they want to be clearer about what they want to do. And I applaud these students for being brave to make that kind of decision. And I think that results in a pretty outcome for them, because ultimately and subsequently, when they choose to go into university, they are very clear and they do very well in the university degree courses that they choose to progress to.
Since there are really multiple pathways, EAE being an example of one, I suppose we also shouldn't be thinking about a degree qualification towards the end, because there are also avenues. Would you like to maybe touch on some of our CET or continuing education programs?
Yeah, thanks Anita for reminding me about that. There are also more opportunities these days for students after they have graduated from the polytechnics to continue to choose to pursue a specialist diploma course or advanced diploma course that allows them to specialize in a particular area related to the study that they were in previously. And the benefit of going through the program is that you have actually managed, students who have gone through this pathway usually would have secured a job with the company as well. And many companies today, they are also looking at skills-based hiring, particularly for some of the IT jobs. So our cybersecurity students, for example, they get very good offers from the industry. And our industry also tells our students, actually, I don't need you to have a degree. If you come in with cybersecurity training, you can perform at the same level as a degree graduate. And the specialized diploma or specialist diploma actually allows the students to go deeper into the area so that they can be better prepared for the job. And the companies are actually quite happy to sponsor a student because they do recognize that sometimes if the student go through a degree program, it actually helps them to gain maybe better maturity in their thinking and also help them to develop further in terms of their critical thinking skills in the university. So the employers that we work with, after they take in the students through the work-study program leading to a specialist diploma, they will sponsor the students to do a work-study degree program in one of our local universities. And today, it is not just the Singapore Institute of Technology that offers a work-study program. Even the more classical university like NUS and TU, they are also starting to offer work-study degree program, because they realize that it is important to get the industry to be plugged in and to work closely with the industry to train our students to meet the needs of the industry.
Before we move away from the university discussion, this one, I think in the education sector, we've also debated this quite a lot, in terms of JC route or poly route if I want to get into university. Maybe.
Well, ultimately, if you want to, your end goal is to pursue degree studies, I would say, actually, I think a JC route might be better for you to pursue the degree option. Largely because the training that the JC goes through is really quite different from the polytechnics. I mentioned earlier that the polytechnics, our mission is still to train students for the industry. And hence, our courses, the subjects that the students go through are really geared towards training our students to help them acquire skill sets that they can perform well in the industry. So if you want to get a place in a medical school, I would encourage you, please do look more seriously at maybe pursuing the JC option. Although I must qualify that actually there are quite a number of our students who still manage to get a place in the medical school or the law school. So that is the difference, because ultimately the JC pathway actually prepares you to go deeper into certain academic subjects, which tends to lend themselves better for, say, a degree program in NUS, which, like what I mentioned earlier, they are more research-based university, and hence their focus will be a lot more in terms of the academic achievements. But having said so, the universities today, like what I mentioned earlier, they are also looking at really broadening the profile of students that they take in. When I talk to my NUS colleagues, they actually value the polytechnic students joining them. And today, I think in NUS, the proportion of polytechnic students that they take in probably accounts for easily about 40% of the students. And they realize the benefit of the polytechnic students working alongside or studying alongside the JC students, because they do bring different ways of thinking, ways of looking at things into the degree programs. For the engineering faculty, the professors in the universities always like to say that when a student form project teams, the JC students always like to look for poly students, because when they go to the labs, the poly students know exactly what to do, whereas the JC students will be sometimes quite lost. And the poly students always like to be in the same project team as the JC students, because when it comes to writing reports and things like that, maybe the JC students are better prepared in those areas. So different students from different pathways bring different value, and I think our university sector do recognize that. But ultimately, going back to what I mentioned earlier, ultimately, when it comes to the polytechnics, we are training students for the industry, and the way we train students are quite different from the JCs. And they bring different value to the workplace as well as to the university.
Maybe just one quick last question, and because we've been talking mainly about the secondary school track, this is a question from ITE, and because we are all-inclusive, any tips for those from the ITE, the certificate holders coming in?
Okay, for ITE final year students, do join us. If you are very keen, go for EAE. The good thing about EAE is this: for ITE students, you are not confined to choosing a diploma that is directly related to the higher NITEC course that you're doing now. So for example, if you're doing a higher NITEC in engineering, you can be applying for diploma courses outside of engineering. Okay? Of course, look for something that you're keen on. If you have already built up certain expertise within engineering in your higher NITEC course, it's good to build further on that, join engineering diploma, because it will give you a good head start. Okay? But if you're interested in something somewhat different, whether in IT or even very different in design, EAE do provide you that opportunity to apply for something very different. Whereas if you have to wait till after your final examination next year to apply for Polytechnic, you can only apply based on a related course for you. Okay, so that's the difference for ITE students.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chunling, Peter. And thank you for all your questions, including those who are streaming in, joining our live stream. Thank you for all your questions. We hope that it's given some sense of what to look out for. We're going to go on to the next segment, which is going to be the school tours. Encourage you to also maximize your time there. Ask all the questions you want. We are really here to answer as many questions so that we can help you make a better decision. So thank you for being here. And Peter, or maybe...
Yeah, thanks very much.
Session.
So thank you very much for coming to TP again. Thank you for your interest in Temasek Poly. Please, make the best use of what we have put together today to ask about the course. Ask not just my colleagues, but also the students who have gone through the experiences, because I think they can give the most authentic view about the experiences that you can get or your child can get in the polys. So apart from the visit today, please feel free to ask us if you have further questions after the visit today. You can drop by Temasek Poly, or you can go to our website, which has a lot of information. Please don't hesitate to ask us if you have any questions. Okay? Thanks very much. And
if I could ask you to remain seated to avoid any kind of traffic jam, because we're going to organize everyone to go into the school tours as cleanly and neatly without having any accidents. So if I could request you to just remain seated while maybe Farah and Georgina, I need your help to give instructions, because not quite sure what the instructions are. You have, right? Good, come. Yeah. Thank you for your cooperation. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lam, Ms. Kwan, and Mr. Sung for the very engaging and informative session. So I'm sure our audience here and those following us on live stream would have learned very useful tips. And to sum it up, the EAE is about passion and personality, and it gives you and your child a peace of mind to focus on your O-levels examination, knowing that you have secured a spot in the poly and course of your choice.
And with that, we have come to the end of our Q&A session today. So to our audience, thank you so much for taking the time out of your Saturday morning to join us. Good luck for your EAE, and we hope to see you in TP soon. Also, if you would like more information on Temasek Polytechnic, I highly recommend that you follow our social media or check out our website for more information. And now, as Ms. Kwan mentioned, we're